Yo, what's going on YouTube? Tips with TeeP, Solar Hardpoint coming back at you. New teammate Swanee's going well. We're getting a lot better. Only been teaming for 2 days. We have league matches today, so we need to get a 2-0 day if possible. I'm working on uplink quite a bit. Anyways, that's just a little update about Optic Nation. Let's get right into this. So, Solar Hardpoint, depending on which side you're spawning on, is dependent on how you're going to set up. So if you're spawning on this back blue side, you definitely want a guy either pushing up to this blue catwalk area, trying to get control of glass, making sure that guy can't sit at that head glitch up there. Or you just want to simply post a bow guy up here, try and pick off as many people as you can at this bottom window, bottom room, top glass, yellow cat, etc. He's the one just looking over your guys in the hill. Pretty straightforward. I would send one guy up here, send another guy glass to try and retain glass control, and then the other two guys roaming around the hill area, helping out whoever really needs it. So, what you want to happen on this hill is make the other team flood from this middle gap area, so making them jump up from gap or go yellow cat. And on the other side, you wanna try and make them flood from this back area, make them spawn at this back mid alley. If they're flooding from mid alley, that's what you want. And if they're flooding from yellow cat or mid gap, those are just really really easy gunfight wins for your guys in hill and the people around the hill watching. If the team is getting around glass on you, it's much harder to watch up top, down low, blue cat, etc. So you want to try and minimize the amount of ways that the enemy team can push from to this, and this, if possible. Of course, it's a middle hill. It's going to be scrappy no matter what. So you just do the best you can to try and retain control of this hill and get as much time as you can. In the latter seconds of the hill, you need to make sure you try and hit this rotation pretty quickly and flip the spawn out from this yellow side so they're not there when the next hill pops. So in the first, I would say 30 seconds or so of this hill, you don't really give a shit if they're spawning on that yellow side because it doesn't really matter. You're just sitting pretty in this middle hill, racking up as much time as you can. In the later seconds of the hill, you need to rotate up here. I would send 2 people because 1 person is not enough. They're probably going to have a guy controlling this top maps area, this B or building if you want to call it that, whatever. You need to send more than 1 person because that 1 person is simply going to get traded out. So if you're holding this top spawn, going into this hill, that's absolutely perfect. So, setting up on this other hill, this second hill, you want to have a guy holding the up top, making sure that you're not getting flanked in the early sections of the hill. But as soon as that initial push is stopped, they're going to stop trying to flank around top. Their next best option is you want to try and force them to spawn out at that glass wall. The way you do that is you retain top and you push out this backside area a little bit. If you don't push out this backside area, they're going to keep spawning back here in this corner over here by the yellow catwalk and have a very, very easy route to try and contest you. This hill can get pretty scrappy as well. I would definitely say 3 ASMs, 3 subs on this hill because it's just a lot of dashing around, close range gunfights, trying to get the guys hiding behind these pipes area. When you're setting up, this is a really good spot, having a guy on this top pipe area. It's hard to get shot at. You have a nice angle at this middle gap, but it's sort of the opposite of what you want on the middle hill. You want to try and force them to spawn out glass and force them to this middle cut through pipes or the yellow catwalk steps. Force them into those little choke points so your bow players and the guys in the hill can have so many easy gunfights rather than trying to fight a bunch of people flooding to these barrels, getting up top on this white building, and just getting in from several different areas of access to the hill. So, your main setup is going to be one guy holding this top maps area, making sure he's not getting flanked. I would have another guy roaming this area, making sure he's not dying, just doing as much damage as he can. Another guy in hill, just roaming around in it, trying to help whoever needs it as much as possible, but not dying because he's the one racking up the hill time. And then your other player needs to be roaming around this area, trying to block this spawn to the best of his ability. If you're doing that and you're making them spawn glass, you're going to get an easy 30, 40, 50 seconds out of this hill, depending on how the gunfights go. And that's really the wanted setup you want for this hill. In the latter seconds of this hill, you do not want to spawn top anymore. So I would say in the last 30, 20 seconds, you want to try and push through and flip and force them to spawn top. So don't hold top anymore. Make them spawn there. So it's a way longer route for them to get to this next hill. That's how you win the rotation from second to third hill on this map. Because if every kill you get from then on, when they're spawning top, it's so much easier for you. They have to travel double distance that you do in order to get to the next hill. So try and retain as much of this last scrappy time in the last 20, 10 seconds, etc. Trust your guy in hill to get as many kills and time as possible, while the rest of you try and flip the spawn around, get control of the back, get control of this top 3 area because they're most likely going to be trying to rotate from glass and middle water, or they're trying to push you on this side to retake from the yellow side. So, once you rotate to this next hill, you got this bottom hill. Very, very straightforward. Once again, this is another one of those hills where you want to push out to make them spawn as far back as possible. You don't want to be just turtling up in hill with only one guy is watching the perimeter on the outside. So, I would say the best setup for this hill is the guy at the back over here just rotating depending on how the other team is pushing you out and listening to your teammates' callouts. The hill guy is going to rotate a lot on this hill, or at least it should if you're playing it correctly, in my opinion. If you have your guy in the back over here, I think this car is probably the best way to do it. You can just use the head glitch or at the barrels. Just making sure that you're not getting flanked from this right side or the top 3 area, and making sure we call out if they're coming from middle as well. The main way they're going to break from, however, is this yellow side because you have 2 doors to go from. And it's way easier to try and win this gunfight. You got this little door right here and the big door right here. We call it little and big. Your guy in hill needs to rotate to whoever dies. So your guys on the outside of the hills on this back left over here and the back right over there are trying to get as many kills as possible. And if you're doing a good job of pushing it out properly, you're going to retain this spawn still. So everyone that dies is going to at least have somewhat of a close spawn, whether it be on this blue side out here or on the yellow side out there. So I think the best way to do it to retain as much time as possible on this hill is your hill player needs to rotate out of the hill when one of those teammates dies and keep putting pressure on the other team so they're not breaking the barriers of the hill and blocking those crucial spawns that you need to keep. So let's say I'm holding hill right here, just laying down watching these steps or watching my little door. My teammate at yellow says, oh, there's 3. He gets 1 kill, trades and dies. I need to be the closest one here, instantly pushing out and contesting them for as long as possible. Because what's going to happen is my guy over there that died, I need to take his spot. He's going to spawn back up blue and rotate back in hill. The next guy out here rotates in hill and takes my spot as I push out to the yellow side. That's the easiest way to retain the hill. And once again, it's the same sort of thing. Every gunfight you win is more beneficial for you than for them, because if you're pushing it out properly, they're spawning farther and farther away while your teammate is still spawning at that blue area and is easily able to rotate back. So that guy spawns up at the blue, rotates back, watches middle alley. The guy that was previously watching middle alley rotates into hill. The guy, me, goes and help my teammate at yellow, pushes out, and then it's a really easy cycle. So that's sort of the main setup you want to have. And then in a scrappy situation, you definitely want to stack 2 people in hill. So if they're like trying to pinch you from both sides, it's a scrappy situation, you don't have a confirmed setup, you definitely want to have one guy stacked up in hill right here, or on this blue rail just roaming around, helping whoever needs it at this yellow side or blue side, depending on how the other team is pushing. One guy sitting in hill, staying alive for as long as possible, also trying to get these kills. This is probably the best spot to do it, just laying down here, trying to kill people from wherever they're trying to push from. You can see through right here if they try and dash in, easy kills, etc. So it's really dependent on the situation, but in a perfect setup, which is what tips with TeeP is all about, is it's all about rotating to whoever's dying and whoever's taking the most pressure and pushing it out to make them spawn as far away as possible. Moving on to the top hill. This rotation of this hill is really hard to do if you're holding the last seconds of that hill, just to be honest, because they're going to be rotating with 4 people while you only have 3. And they have the beneficial spawn. There's really not much you can really do to try and get all the points on that hill and win the rotation. It is hard, but if you can pull it off, you're going to absolutely blow the other team out. This is one of the harder rotations of the game, in my opinion, out of all the hardpoint maps, because it's a lot about coordination. It's all about getting that intro kill. So let's say you're rotating out of this last hill and you're on rotation. I think the best way to try and break is definitely from this map side, the yellow side, and try and getting this first gunfight win, whether this guy is posted up at the van right here on the top hut or at the back sign over there just posted up with a bow. It's all about an intro kill. Don't care about pushing unless you get an intro kill. If you're just trying to flood in from right here and trying to dash in and get a 3-piece, it's not going to work. You're going to die every time. So on the rotation, you need to send 2 teammates, and you need to play slow, you need to play camping, you need to try and isolate one of their people to even out the numbers into your favor. So let's say the top hill pops, you don't have control, you have the 2 people posted up over here. You get that intro kill, and then you flood. So the best way to break on the rotation is sending 2 people here, 1 person middle, and then your hill guy's going to follow up from behind. So that's the best way to do it. Let's say you break, and you have complete control of it. You want a guy watching glass over here, not poking out too much though. I think him playing from the van is the best area. He can easily peek out and call out how many people are pushing from glass without being able to take too much damage. If he sees more than 1 or 2 people, he can easily just back up and use the head glitches of the planter right here to his advantage and get those easy gunfight wins. Once again, when you're holding this hill, it's crucial to push out, have a guy pushed out at this middle building area, making sure they cannot even get into this door, and pushed out to this right side area, stalling for as long as possible. So, you're going to have your guy in the hill, a guy watching glass, just calling out and rotating. This is another one of those rotating hills. If you're holding the spawn properly, and they're not pinching you properly, you're still going to get a closer spawn, and you're going to be easily able to rotate. So let's say they're pushing 3 people on this yellow side at maps. I'm in hill, my teammate over there dies, my other teammates pushed up in this middle building. It's my job to rotate here and push out and try and stall them for as long as possible to make sure to take out at least 1 or 2 people. If I take out 2, their whole push is going to be stopped. They're going to have to wait for their teammates to respawn because that last 1 or 2 people pushing from right or middle are basically screwed. So it's all about rotating. If the guy over there dies, gets a trade, I need to push out over here, cause pressure. The guy middle needs to rotate back if he doesn't see anything and help me over here. The guy glass rotates back into hill, and then our other teammate is either going to spawn out middle or glass and be able to run back and help us wherever we need it. It's all about not getting pinched out. Teams are getting a lot better at learning when to stay alive and pushing from multiple areas. So if you can trust your teammates a little bit and be able to rotate quick enough not to get pinched and win those gunfights before they break the lines of the hills to block the spawns, you're going to get probably a free 50 or even 60 seconds on this hill because it's pretty darn easy to hold as long as you win those gunfights up out on the streets to making sure that you're not getting pinched and they're blocking spawns. Moving on to rotation to this last hill. The perfect setup you want is 1 person roaming around this water tower area, making sure you're not getting flanked from glass, bottom glass, and from the blue catwalk area. You want another guy in hill, just roaming around. Good spots. There's a lot of good spots in this hill. Sitting in this, behind the staircase, head glitching, etc. And in a perfect world, you want to try and push out both spawns once again and make them spawn at the back yellow. If you're able to do that, you're going to hold at least 30 or 40 seconds on this hill. It's a little bit of a scrappy hill at times because it's pretty easy to break if they get to this top 3 area and to that back balcony. But try and just hold as much time as you can and know when to flood and when to just set up. And what I mean by flood is if they're all getting this back spawn over here and they're all rotating to this back blue, they're all going to try and flood from this back balcony, from this dirt area path right here where I'm on, or from the top 3. So in this situation, your guy at hill cannot be scared. He can't just be sitting in this situation. He really needs to push out and put pressure on them, make them stay back for as long as possible, while your teammate's able to push up to this balcony area and watch over the guys at hill. You don't really need a guy at water tower right here if they're flooding in from right here, unless he's a BAL player looking over you. It really depends on how your setup is going to go, making sure that you're not getting flanked from this middle tunnel, and then just trying to win as many gunfights as possible at this back dirt. If you're able to push out water tower and back dirt, they're going to spawn so far away across the map, and you're going to have so much easy time. And once again, it's all about rotation. It's all about picking up spots and noticing where the other team is flood pushing from. If you hear a lot of boosting at middle map, they're probably trying to go glass or at this blue catwalk. So the guy hill needs to realize that he needs to help this guy water tower, while the guys back here need to pick up hill, etc., etc. Very straightforward setup on this last hill. It's a scrappy one once again, but if you can push out both spawns, you spawn them in Neptune. It's very, very basic. It's the essence of Hardpoint. Every gunfight that you win when you have spawn is more important than their gunfights because they're spawning way farther away and have to travel double the distance. Focus on the rotations, push out the spawns properly, and know when to rotate who's taking which position in certain situations to make sure you retain the spawn for your team. Oh, I'm tired of talking. Hopefully you enjoyed this Tips with TeeP video on Solar Hardpoint. Make sure to tune into the stream today. We have 2 league matches against Denial and Rise Nation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want some more Tips with TeeP. I'll be moving on to CTF next in this series. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Leave a like if you enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel. As always, guys, Tips with TeeP. Another success. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.